Hello and welcome back to a new video. Today we will have a look at 5 of Klæbo's most impressive performances in the classic style. Number 5. Kuusamo in 2019. In this classic sprint final, Klæbo did not attack until the final uphill. However, when he finally stepped on the gas, he of course crushed his opponents. Technique-wise, it's significantly more refined than the rest, and you don't have to be an expert to see that he's on another level. It's almost shocking that even at the world level, there can still be such a gap between the number 1 and the number 2 guy in the world. These enormous margins in a World Cup race can make you question the level of competition. But anyway, Johannes truly stands out as a freak of nature and the best sprinter of all time, and it's not even close. Number 4. The classic sprint in Drammen in 2023. I was very unsure which one to pick, this one or his astonishing performance in the World Championships a few weeks prior, but I chose this one because, even though he won with a bigger margin in Slovenia, he attacked early, while in this race, he waited until the last turn. Despite only 300 meters being left, he outclassed his opponents with a double poling technique more polished than I've ever seen. There isn't a ton of footage of Johannes working on maximum power on the skierg, but based off of the little video material there is, his raw power numbers do not seem as impressive as you might expect from the world's best sprinter. There are several guys with higher outputs, but the power isn't the only thing that matters. Efficiency is the single most crucial factor for top speed, and he gets a 10 out of 10 when it comes to double poling technique. Number 3. 10-kilometer classic. Falun in 2024. As a result of more training, Johannes might have become slightly less explosive as he has gotten older, but he has in return a better endurance. In 2024, he won the 50-kilometer in Holmenkollen, which was incredibly impressive. But his best distance race from last season was probably the 10-kilometer individual classic race in Falun. He won by a margin of almost half a minute, which is quite a lot, considering that this was a World Cup race. However, the problem is of course that the Russians are absent, so we don't know how this performance would compare to Alexander Bolshunov. I honestly think a peak version of the Russian would still be faster, at least without the snowy conditions. But we don't know. Has Klæbo now surpassed Bolshunov's previous level, or would he have been the underdog in these types of distance races? Number 2. Tour de Ski 2021-2022, 15-kilometer mass start. This might be his best distance race in his career so far. The so-called sprinter destroyed the distance skiers in their own discipline, and he did it, not by outsprinting them in the final 100 meters, but by racing at a too high average speed for any of his competitors to be able to keep up. Both Niskanen and Bolshunov participated, and they were outclassed by a significant margin. However, neither was at their peak, and in the Olympic Games a couple months later, the tables were turned. In this specific race, however, Johannes had the upper hand, and it's incredible how effortless he's able to move through the course. I don't think he has a bigger aerobic engine than the rest of his peer group, but he's simply getting more speed out of the same capacity, which is called having a magnificent work economy. There are several factors determining your cost of travel, but technical efficiency is a major component. Now to number 1. You guessed it, it's Kuusamo from 2017. This race is the most impressive feat of sprint performance in the history of the sport, and miles ahead of the next one on the list. The concept of a massive gap between the number 1 and the number 2 guy was mentioned earlier in this video, but that day he took it to a whole new level. After a flawless autumn with systematic and methodical improvement, the power of Klæbo's sprinting abilities was put on full display, and he went full gas from start to finish and was clearly head and shoulders above everyone else. Apparently, he's not implementing a lot of pure sprint sessions, but despite the lack of specialization, he's able to perform at this mind-blowing level in sprint. That a guy can be this much faster in a World Cup race can make you question the level of his competitors, and also make you realize how much of a deciding factor the genetic multiplier really is. Look at this. Wow. Around this time, he was at his most explosive, being only 21 years old and in peak physical condition. One bonus chapter I would like to include is the last uphill in the sprint relay in the World Championships in 2019. He did not use his characteristic running-like style of the diagonal stride, but rather a sprinting version of the traditional form, which I believe is even more effective. These 50 to 100 meters of sprinting might be the most impressive feat of classic sprint technique I have ever seen. This man is a legend in the sport, and I know a lot of you younger people watching this video have him as an idol. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.